When you hear Pebble Beach, most people think of golf. But also, nestled in this exclusive stretch of the Pacific coastline is a phenomenal drive called the Scenic 17-mile drive. On this drive, you will take in giant waves crashing along the coastline, birds, sea lions and seals galore, beautiful beaches, and the very famous lone pine. The sheer beauty of this drive is breathtaking, and it's an essential drive if you ever are in the area of the Central California coastline. Welcome to the Savvy Sightseer, the channel that helps you travel savvy. The Scenic 17-mile drive is just that, a scenic 17-mile drive. It's considered one of the most scenic drives in the entire world. It winds you through exclusive communities of large homes, many with views of the Pacific Ocean, and it also takes you through some of the most famous golf courses in the world, such as Spyglass Hill Golf Course and Pebble Beach Golf Links. Not only is this area beautiful, but it's steeped in history, with many stops having a history of their own. To start the drive, there are 2 gated locations to enter. At the entrance, you will pay a fee. Currently, that fee is $11.25 per vehicle. For me, it was well worth the cost, but if you eat at one of the Pebble Beach resort restaurants, that'll actually just be taken right off your bill. Just bring your receipt and hand it to your waiter or waitress. Also, to our disappointment, there is a sign that clearly says no drones at the gate, so be prepared to take all your photos from the ground. We started at the north side of the drive and entered the Pacific Grove Gate. There's also a second gate located further south along Highway 1, aptly named the Highway 1 Gate. When you enter the gate, you follow the road in which they have dotted with red lines, so it's easy to follow this drive. You will see beautiful homes lining the streets and eventually come to your first stop. Each stopping point has clear signage and also parking spots or a pull-out to easily park and get out to take it all in. The first stop when entering from the Pacific Grove Gate, but is actually the third point of interest on the map, is called Spanish Bay Beach. This is a beach in which the Spanish came to in 1769. Using a description from 1602, these Spanish explorers were actually trying to find Monterey Bay, but arrived here instead. Here you can get out and get your first views of the ocean. Like many of the other stops along the way, there are picnic tables to have a picnic, but I suggest waiting to stop further along where there might be some more scenic views to take in. We were there on a day that was a bit rainy and cloudy, but it was still stunning. The pictures and videos will never do the color of this water justice. The contrast of deep blues and grays with the spots of turquoise that we could see made this the most unique and remarkable part of the Pacific Ocean I have ever seen. And I live in Oregon, so I see the Pacific Ocean all the time and have been to Hawaii many times. Nothing compares to the colors of the ocean here. The next stop is called the Restless Sea. Most likely due to submerged rocks, waves are constantly crashing into each other, making this one of the most turbulent sections of the coastline in Pebble Beach. The waves were impressive here, not only in size but sound. This was a great place to just stand and watch as the wave after wave crashed upon each other. Next up is Point Joe. This was another point that early travelers mistook as Monterey Bay. This is the site of many shipwrecks, and you can see why with the very large waves. Point Joe is either named after a man named Joe, or Joe was named after this point. No one's actually quite sure. Joe was a man, though, who lived in a driftwood hut and tended to his goats and sold knickknacks to tourists in the early 1900s in this location. But also for the golf lover like my husband, you will even see a tee box located at this point, which is part of the Monterey Peninsula Country Club. If you are enjoying this video or finding it helpful, I would really appreciate you subscribing to my channel or hitting the thumbs up to share with others. That way I know I'm providing the right kind of savvy travel trips to viewers like you and can help other travel savvy too. Coming up next on the drive is China Rock. In the 1800s, this was the site of a small Chinese fishing village. This area had such awesome rock formations and giant waves. I actually felt that there were larger waves here than at the Restless Sea location. This might have been one of my favorite spots simply because of the large waves, just watching them crash over these rocks one after another. It was really awesome to see. Bird Rock is the next stop, and when you start to pull up to this stop, you'll see why it's called Bird Rock. The large rock is covered in birds. You can actually see them from very far away. It actually used to be covered in 4 to 5 feet of pelican and cormorant guano until 1930. If you're not sure what guano is, it's poop. They then harvest it as fertilizer, and with a newly cleaned off perch, sea lions moved in and they have never left. That was probably the coolest part of this stop. We could see this large dark mass out to the right of the rock. At first, we couldn't tell what it was until I saw a sea lion or a seal, I'm not sure which, flip in the air. Then I realized this mass was a huge herd of sea lions or seals. They were too far out, so I couldn't be sure which one it was. But soon I could hear them too, barking at each other. It was awesome to sit there and watch them. Shortly after Bird Rock is Seal Rock. It's a tucked away beach and a great place to get out and explore. We got out and took the short little pathway down to the beach where you could see Seal Rock Creek making its way to the ocean. You can check out tide pools or have a picnic here too. When we were there, the tide was actually coming in, so we couldn't explore the tide pools, but you could tell it would be a great place to do this. The next stop is another beach called Fan Shell Beach Overlook. Here you will find a small fan shell-shaped beach. It's supposedly one of the primary pupping habitats for harbor seals on the Central Coast. The day we were there was none to be seen, unfortunately. This is where the scenery starts to change as you pull up to the next stop, which is Cypress Point Lookout. This stop you have to drive back into rather than a stop along the road like the others. You'll find a large parking lot, and it's a great spot to actually take in sunsets if you're there during the right time. Once back on the main road, you see more and more cypress trees. You'll find yourself at the next stopping point, which is Crocker Grove. This is home to the oldest and largest Monterey cypress trees in the entire world. The next stop might be the most famous one. It's the lone cypress. This cypress has withstood the elements for more than 250 years. This tree is world famous as it serves as the logo for Pebble Beach Resorts since its founding in 1919. And if you're a golfer, you know this logo. Once you park, there is a secondary viewing area a bit further south. Just walk along the path and you'll see a wooden staircase taking you to a great overlook area. This will give you a little bit of a different perspective of the lone cypress. The other thing we noticed is not as many people noticed that was there, and so we were able to kind of sneak away where the other location was extremely busy. After the lone cypress, you come to the next stop called Ghost Trees at Pescadero Point. This is a stop supposedly where you will see spooky sun-bleached cypress trees. It's also a legendary surf spot. To be honest, I didn't get the spooky part because they didn't seem that sun-bleached, but it did have some cool views of the ocean below. As you continue on the drive, you come up to the next several stops, all located along the Pebble Beach golf links. The first one will be stop 14 on the map, and that is the Visitor Center. Here you can stop to learn all about the history of Pebble Beach. We didn't stop here as we were getting pretty hungry. By this point, we had spent almost 2 hours taking in stops 3 through 14 out of the total of 17 stops. Shortly past the Visitor Center, we veered left and parked near the Hay, which is a short course at Pebble Beach. Located right next to the Hay is Hay's Place. It's a restaurant serving delicious Mexican food. We got the guacamole with chips and salsa and the birria tacos, which the waitress said were a staff favorite. Neither disappointed, and we enjoyed our time here. If this was a warmer and more sunny day, sitting out on the patio would have been awesome because it looks out to the ocean. It was here where we were able to give our entry receipt, and they took the $11.75 that we paid for the drive off our bill. Stop 15 is the #1 ranked public course in America, Pebble Beach Golf Course itself. Stop 16 is the Pebble Beach Equestrian Center. If you're looking to spend more time here, you could even stop here and partake in a guided horseback tour. After these points, you hit kind of a Y in the road. You can keep heading south to Caramel and end your scenic drive, or veer back up north to take in the last 3 stops, which are the Ford Meadow, Shepherd's Knoll, which gives you a unique elevated look at Monterey Bay, and lastly Huckleberry Hill, where you can see Santa Cruz in the distance. We didn't do these last stops as we were headed south to Big Sur for our next adventure. Overall, this drive is definitely one that provided several hours of enjoyment and views that I will remember for a lifetime. You must add it to your list of things to do if you find yourself anywhere near the central part of the California coast. You will not regret it. Thank you for joining me and letting me share with you the scenic 17-mile drive in the famous Pebble Beach. I would love for you to hit subscribe to help make this the go-to channel for savvy travel.